Hi, my name is Deja Rubel, and the case I'm going to discuss with you today is the United States Department of Justice versus Kim.com. First, to start with some background. In 2005, Kim.com, the gentleman seen here, founded the website MegaUpload.com, which was a file sharing company constructed very similar to Napster, with a central index maintained by Kim.com and peer to peer files on remote computers across the globe. In 2012, the United States Department of Justice filed indictments against Kim.com for conspiracy to commit criminal secondary copyright infringement. This is quite interesting because copyright infringement often comes under the civil code and not the criminal code. But that is not the only legal issue with this case. The first legal issue is jurisdiction. Kim.com was a New Zealand citizen, and the primary server that was indexing the content is also in New Zealand. Therefore, the violations are outside of the United States. In addition, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act includes safe harbor provisions that state the burden is on the copyright owner to request removal from indexing websites such as Mega Upload. And if you request removal and your intellectual property is removed, that is considered sufficient. Viacom versus YouTube also added an extra layer of protection that stated that media providers are protected even if they know the violations exist on their platform, as long as they do not know the specific content being violated. In Kim.com's defense, Mega Upload was actually more proactive than YouTube in defending intellectual property because it gave major copyright holders direct server access to Kim.com's indexing server. However, the real question in this case is whether or not peer-to-peer file sharing is in itself immoral. The first lens we'll examine this under is utilitarianism. According to the author of our textbooks, Benell, intellectual property rights encourage innovation. However, how long should copyright realistically last? 20 years? The life of the creator? Is there value in extending protection beyond the creator's life? Or does that actually cause more problems because family members may resort to infighting? I believe that intellectual property rights are in the best interest of society if they're limited enough to encourage innovation without being unduly restrictive. And if you take this lens, most peer-to-peer file sharing is immoral because you are violating someone else's intellectual property. One could argue that if the band members or the people who actually created the content are no longer living, then you're not violating their rights, you're only violating the rights of the people who inherited it. But overall, most peer-to-peer file sharing under the utilitarian lens can be seen as immoral. Now, another lens to look at whether or not peer-to-peer file sharing is immoral is Gauthier's contractarianism. This states that everyone's preferences are relative and subjective in society. Therefore, justice is an equal distribution of societal benefits under the contract with people. This leads to two types of immorality. Parasites, people who pass on costs to others, such as people who pirate content in order to pass the costs on to other consumers. Or free riders, people who steal another person's game. So people who pirate in order to steal the profit from the original content creator. Because both types of immoral users employ peer-to-peer file sharing to violate the equal distribution of societal benefits, peer-to-peer file sharing is almost obviously inherently immoral under Gauthier's contractarianism. Now, a third lens we can look at whether peer-to-peer file sharing is inherently immoral is Becker's moral entrepreneur. And moral entrepreneurs propagate their viewpoints to adopt and maintain a norm, which is simply a standard of behavior. And Kim.com's relentless advocacy for unrestricted file sharing queries our whole moral basis of intellectual property. And this is actually a moral good because it forces us to interrogate whether our intellectual property laws are too restrictive. So, when examining the Kim.com versus DOJ case as a whole, we can conclude the following. The United States Department of Justice had no legal standing. Kim.com was in New Zealand, the violations were in New Zealand, and he was protected by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act safe harbor provisions. However, peer-to-peer file sharing, when examined through an ethical and moral lens, produces the following observations. Intellectual property is morally good if it encourages innovation in a timely manner, as we see with utilitarianism. Peer-to-peer file sharing encourages parasites and free riders, however, to violate society's equal distribution of benefits. Therefore, it is morally bad most of the time. Same for utilitarianism. If you want your intellectual property rights respected, you have to respect those of others. However, Kim.com is a moral entrepreneur in Becker's mind because his advocacy for unrestricted file sharing challenges our intellectual property rights for the better because it induces limits of them which in our fast-paced society is all for the good. Thank you.